Okay, Corey, my friend, it's great to have you here, buddy. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
For coming. So let's refresh some people's memories on your background, right? Let's talk a little bit about how in the world did you get in front of Joe Vagnone, on the radio? Don't go back to 1963, but kind of give us a little bit of background.
Well, it all started when I was a small child, Joe. No, Joe, as you remember, I came to you that I was looking to open up a restaurant, kind of a fast casual style, and I come from fine dining. I come from country clubs, hotels, and international competitions. I've been competing internationally for the last 6-7 years, amassed about 5 gold medals in the international circuit. And I wanted to take a lot of that skill and bring it into a successful business. And doing that, I came to see you. I had a friend, Kendall Ross, who connected the both of us. And
which we need to say hi to Kendall. We didn't
do.
reach out to him the last time. I bet he was upset about that.
he did call me. He's like, did you give me the shout out?
Kendall!
I hope you're watching, buddy. I know you
are.
are.
We're going to get him on the show. So you say he's coming to town next week?
He's coming to town next week.
We can get him on the show while you're still a co-host.
Perfect.
That'll be great. Okay.
He would love that. So while I was competing in our last year getting ready for Germany for the Culinary Olympics, Electrolux Professional became one of our sponsors. And I was so excited because we're getting a sponsor from a vacuum company, and I'm going to have the cleanest apartment in all of Charlotte. This is so exciting for me. And so we never got our vacuums, which was, to my surprise. Electrolux does so much more than vacuums. We actually provide really high-level technologically advanced equipment for restaurants, any kind of kitchen, that can really create efficiencies for their processes. And they asked me to come in if I'd be interested in this position. And I came in for kind of a practice interview.
I'm curious. Electrolux, I see them on the high-end residential level. But like you, I did not know that they were on a commercial side, right? Is that why you just didn't consider them as a equipment manufacturer on the commercial side?
Yeah, and I think we're still gaining that traction as the industry leader, and you have some other brands that we compete with that people know about, and it's really fun for me because actually in my interview, they showed me this kitchen, and I had no idea what any of this technology was, and how exciting for me to be able to learn all this stuff and just get my hands in it and find out what this stuff does, and then be able to bring that to chefs. And what a cool opportunity for me to get involved in this.
Right. So when you get involved with Electrolux, what was your impression of the corporation at that time? Right. Okay. All right. So they make some equipment, right? And now they're knocking on your door saying, "Hey, why don't you come work with us?" What was your impression of what you thought they wanted you to do?
Initially, I was very confused. I wasn't sure if it was a sales role. I wasn't sure if it was cooking in the cafeteria. I wasn't really sure what the goal was, because I think so many chefs have their blinders on that it's all about the kitchen, creating great food, creating great guest experience. And we're not always exposed to the business side, how to make money, how to improve these procedures that we do every day. So at first it was a bit confusing. And after about 2 weeks there, they threw me. I was baptized by fire. We had an all-sales meeting, and I was in front of all these sales guys that have been working with our products for 10, 20 years, trying to talk to them about something I really had no idea about in the beginning. But we have a great team in Italy. That's where all of our equipment's manufactured, Italy or Switzerland. And I went to do a 2-week training with the chefs over there, and I was just so blown away of these things that I had no idea, I had no exposure to. So that really inspired me to now learn as much as I could about these products and bring that into every chef.
It's so funny because when I first met you, we did a little bit of email back and forth, and I also thought you were running a cafeteria, and I was thinking, I don't think Electrolux got that big of a operation here in Charlotte. So then I was thinking, well, maybe it's like I know quite a few people that do this, executive, lounge, like for Bank of America and that sort of stuff. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like a mini club. And I was thinking, well, maybe that's what he runs, right? So it wasn't until I met you that I even knew there was a position like yours. And the fact is, you really created it. You got to create your own job description of where you felt you could plug yourself in and help this massive organization. I find that really cool.
Absolutely, and it is cool. And again, when I started, it was very confusing, and I had full support from our vice president, from our marketing directors to just do what you think you need to do to get chefs to be exposed to this equipment and understand these technologies and these principles. So the funnest thing for me every day is getting to meet all these different chefs from across the country, restaurateurs, consultants, contractors, but I get to play with the highest technology that's available on the market every single day and create new recipes.
Let's take a break and we come back. I want to dig into that because it really is. Now, I'm a restaurant guy, so I don't know that everybody listening cares as much as I do. But the fact that you got to create your position and it involves traveling all over the country, world, really, introducing not only efficiencies and productivities, but pieces of equipment that are cooking things in ways that we weren't using before. So that's what's really cool and interesting. You're, in effect, changing the way we actually cook and the way business people view the cost of actually putting together a kitchen and the cost of those products. I want to really dig into that when we come back.
Yeah.
So let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk some more with Corey Siegel, the winner of 5 gold medalists, which we haven't even got into that. You've lived like 600 lives, man.
I'm like a cat. You just can't take me down.
Okay, so what's the official title? What is your title at Electrolux?
My title at Electrolux is Corporate Executive Chef.
Corporate Executive Chef at Electrolux. If it's Friday morning, your business matters. We'll be right back.
Executive Chef.
Corporate Executive Chef of Electrolux, because what I have on my sheet and in my mind is 5-time gold medalist.
That's my other life.
That's another life. That's exactly right. I see why you have the title from Electrolux. You understand that? So let's do that. Let's talk about this job, essentially, that you've created, right? You know what I mean? Electrolux has a vision, and then they handed it off to you and say, now make this happen. So what seem to be the things that your clients are looking for, and then is there a difference between what you think they should be looking at? Because you know what the products can do, they don't, right? So I find that to be an interesting challenge for you. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely, yeah. So Electrolux is a leader in technology for restaurant equipment, and this was something that I wasn't exposed to in my days in the kitchens, and this was so exciting for me. So as I'm learning these different kitchen efficiencies for maximizing labor, getting better results out of the food product, higher yields, I'm now able to test all this every single day and work with these different chefs for their operations. For me coming in, it was a bit confusing about what to do. Am I supposed to follow this corporate 1, 2, 3, kind of follow these bullet points and kind of a dry presentation? Do I really custom tailor it to what their needs are? How do I really go about this? So I looked at it as listening to the customer and listening to their pain points, figuring out where they're having these troubles, and then looking at how our equipment can create these efficiencies.
For people that don't know, what is one of those? What seems to be a general problem that a client would have that they would come to you for?
One of the biggest problems that restaurants have is actually the biggest one is the labor. With the minimum wage going up, with scheduling people are going to call out. It's really, how do we maximize? If you're there for 8 hours of that day and you're paying somebody a good rate as they should be paid for, we need to make sure that they're doing the job that they're getting paid for and the job that they are there to do. So if they're there sitting there cutting all these vegetables by hand, and it takes them 45 minutes, and we have a unit that can process it in 6 minutes. They can then focus on making sure the food is cooked properly instead of if their knife skills are getting better over time. Same thing goes with our combi ovens. If we can take one piece of equipment, and this piece of equipment, this combi oven, can steam, it can roast, smoke, dehydrate, low temperature steam for cooking fish, sous vide cooking. That allows the operator to stand in one spot and load everything up in this oven and kind of let it drive itself, really.
So Corey, do they know that they're looking for a piece of equipment that will save them time, or do they think they're just looking for a piece of equipment because there's 2 or 3 menu items that they want to be more efficient with on cooking times? Do they know that there's savings on labor as well as time cooking?
I think that people come in and understand that we are a brand that doesn't just provide a nice shiny box or here's your new toy. I think they understand that we're a brand that provides full solution packages, whether it's the cooking, the chilling, the pressure braising pan, the high-speed panini press. These people come in with a vision of maybe my labor is a little bit high. Oh, I heard with these ovens you can get a higher yield on the product. And the best part of my day is when they leave saying, wow, I had no idea you could do all this stuff. So as we were talking off air earlier, people come in with a problem or a pain point, as we refer to it, and we address that. We listen to their pain point, we address the problem, but we also find 10 other pain points that they didn't know they had.
Right.
And it really sparks this kind of interest of, wow, what's the price tag on this oven? And we tell them, and I could never afford that. That's outrageous. How do people do this? But once you walk them through these pain points that they didn't know they had and provide them with these solutions, they see that they're going to run a more efficient kitchen. They're going to have higher yields on the products. They're going to have better tasting food.
You know, it's interesting because I'm hearing this 5-time gold medalist, very skilled at cooking, talk about something that has nothing to do with the food in your background, right? So there had to be a big learning curve for you to actually learn the actual equipment itself, right? Because this is not something anybody would know because it's brand new stuff.
Right. And from the chef's point, where it's all about the food, and then we go back to that, how do you become a restaurateur? How do you become a business? How do you become an entrepreneur? I think that's everybody's goal, is to run a successful business one day, to become a great chef. And you have all this technology that's now driving the market, that's automating these processes so people can do their job to the fullest of their ability. If you can take a brisket, put it in this oven and push one button that the user had to set up 225 degrees, 30% humidity for 12 hours, then the oven can drop down to a holding. As a user, I can put this brisket in the oven, push one button, and every time I'm going to get consistent results versus having to throw logs on a fire, get a smoker going, maintain that temperature, open the lid, spray it down. After a couple hours, when it hits the stall, wrap it back up.
You're taking all the fun out of barbecue, man.
And it is, and that's where we get kind of hung up on. You're not working with the fire. You're not stoking this fire. But if I'm there for 8 hours to put out the best brisket, the best steak and lobster that I can every single day, I appreciate any efficiencies like this that can help me do that to the best of its ability.
You're calling efficiency. Me as a restaurant guy, I'm calling it consistency. So I absolutely know what you're describing for me is not only saving me labor time today, but I know I can guarantee my customers a time that's going to take to do. So now I can price out menus much easier, and I can duplicate this process. And I'm not so afraid that the one guy that knows how to stoke that fire and knows how to turn that brisket, if he's sick that day, it's not going to be done properly. So there's a big amount of real value that goes far beyond just a savings in dollars.
Yeah, and we did a really great initiative. We actually took the racetrack up at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and we ripped out the kitchen and put in one with these new technologies, and then we kept one that was our equipment, but still your traditional gas range, burner, flat top. And we did a meal for 200 people, a 5-course meal, and then we had blind tasting guests out there. Everybody had a Fitbit on, and we monitored what was happening, whether they were going to get a better meal, a hotter meal, more flavorful. And what we found out at the end of this whole test was that the results were exactly the same. Blind tasting, the food was just as hot, the flavors were all there. Where we really shined, and it was something that shocked us, was that our team, each person took 2,000 less steps during the day. So out of 10 people, that's 20,000 less steps. The heart rate of our team versus the older style was 50% lower the entire time of putting out this meal. So we look at where our team is putting in their energy. They're putting in that energy to produce great food, but they're putting in that energy in other places where they can help out.
And that is so important, where labor is getting to be such, forget the cost of labor, just finding the right labor gets to be very difficult. So I could see how this could be really exciting for your guests. Where are they coming from? I mean, are these large franchises that are coming to you looking for solutions, or are they independent operators, the guy out of California and New York? Where are they coming from?
We see everything, and that's the funnest part of my job is I get to deal with chains, franchises, large hotels, fine dining, Michelin chefs, country clubs, you name it. I see it, and it comes in. And that's taken me, anyone that gets this equipment put into place, we go out and work with them to train their whole staff. So it's taken me all over the country to partnerships all over the world, and it's been absolutely incredible.
So I'm curious, do you find that most of the clients come to you with open minds and open eyes, that they really know you're going to show them things that they don't know? Or do they come like the old school? Like I can remember when the equipment guy was showing me a steamer so I didn't have to boil my green beans anymore, right? You know what I mean? And it probably, I look back now and I kind of laugh about it, but it probably took him 2 weeks to sell me on the fact that I'm going to completely cook rice and pasta, and like almost no water. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't even need the stovetop anymore. And so it just took me some time to understand this really can work, and it really will save me a tremendous amount of time. So which ones are coming to you, the old school guy or the open-minded new chef?
It's really the open-minded new chefs, the people that are seeing that business side. They're seeing that their cooks are tired. They get beat up 14, 18 hours a day, and if you're tired, you can't perform at your highest level. So most of what I see in the test kitchen here in Charlotte are chefs that are looking for the next step, looking towards technology and innovation. But then we also see the complete other side. We have people that come in, or I go out to do a training at that facility, and maybe the owner-operator put in this equipment, and the chef's kind of stuck in their ways of these old methods. So it's my job to listen to what they do, understand their normal practices, and then guide them and give them that support of how you can utilize technology to not make it easier for you. That's not, people hear that and say, oh, I don't want to take a shortcut. We keep saying it. It's creating these efficiencies so you can perform at your highest level.
And we got to go to break, but I took you to a seafood restaurant in Mooresville last time we were together, and I introduced you to the owners, the new owner and the old owner, and you got into a conversation with the old owner about a piece of equipment that he had reasons to believe wasn't worth the shortcut, and you handled that wonderfully. I could tell you have seen that old school business owner thinking that the best way to do it was the way he was still doing it, right?
Right.
And that he couldn't figure out how to program the machine to do what it was you were telling him was going to save him a tremendous amount of time. So he wasn't saying no to the machine. He was saying no to the programming. How do you overcome that, right?
Right. And it's letting the chef understand that they're still in control. They're still creating these programs. We have programs set up to help guide you and help you understand this equipment.
So they can tweak your program up or down or whatever they need.
They can tweak it. I give them this guide from tons of day in and day out of playing with 24%, 30% humidity on products. But it's the chef understanding that he's still in control and he's not losing control to this technology. It's what he wants to do with this technology to maximize his restaurant.
Great. Let's take a break, and we come back, my friend. We will continue. This is Local Biz Now. I am Joe Vagnone, and if it's Friday morning, your business matters. We'll be right back. Corporate Executive Chef Corey Siegel. Corey, thank you so much, buddy, for being on the show. You know what I did? I forgot that the co-host is supposed to go get me something from the Google and an article. We can talk about it. I got so excited about you being here. We got started, so I do want to get to that point. But before we do that, I want to talk about Express Employment Professionals, expresspros.com. Go to expresspros.com, expresspros.com. I've been telling people, I absolutely mean this. This is the right time for you to expand the job that you would like to have. Who knows? Someday you might have a job like Corey that you get to define your own job description.
Right.
Corey, we've got another guest that's coming on a little bit, and I want you to do your article. But before we do this, there's an age-old question that I heard you and Robert talking about at the break. Electric or gas? That's the question. Which one is it, buddy?
Electric.
But that's 100%.
Simple. That's simple. And that's so fun
and it's so surprising to hear a professional chef say that.
It is. In culinary school and my first job in the kitchen, as a gas range, you know two speeds of this burner. You have off and you have high. Yeah. As high as that thing goes, and you're even putting your pans in the oven to get them smoking hot, and then you throw them on this burner you have this small pot like this, and the burner's going up over the sides. Yep. I mean, the flame's higher than the pan. And we look at, again, maybe not knowing about some of these technologies and some of these innovations, but electric performs so much faster than the gas, and it's so much more efficient, and it's more sustainable. When you have a gas burner just running the entire time, you have the pilot light going the entire time, you can't turn that on and off. You still have that pilot, and it runs all night. It runs all through the day. And that's one of those operating costs, again, you don't think about. Yeah. How long is that pilot light going to run all night? With the electric, we can turn it on and off. We can have different variable heat sources that are coming. You have induction cooktop, which is electric, but it uses magnetic waves to help friction and heat the pan. And I feel like you get faster cooking results. You have better performance. You don't have this flame going up over the side of the pan. The heat's coming from the bottom. And a pan that I can
never get clean.
Exactly. And so you have the heat coming from the bottom of the source, not going up on the side, so you don't have to clean the pan at the end. It's cooking it faster. It's really incredible, and we actually have a piece, and you're seeing it in a lot of all the European kitchens are all induction, all electric now. They're moving away from the gas.
That's amazing.
It really is. It's easier to clean. You just, at the end of the night, you just wipe down. You don't have to get a bucket of soapy water and scrub and take off your chef coat, and you're covered in grease at the end of the night. It's really, it's better for sanitation purposes. It's cleaner.
It's amazing hearing you say this, because for years I have liked electric, but I just assume I'm a business guy more than I am a chef. I went to school. Yeah, I can cook, but my background's really the business side of it, right? So I always just assumed it was me, the business side. And you described some of those. It is much easier for me to hire people that want to clean an electric stove or electric oven than it is the old, gas and that sort of stuff. And if they don't work, everybody's afraid to start the pilot light, blah, 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 blah. So there were reasons why I, as an owner, like electric, but I just thought I was wrong, actually, for thinking that. So you have validated another thought of mine for many years. That's funny.
Yeah, well, that's our primitive instinct. We want to be around fire. We want all those burners going. We want a 12-burner range and have it going. But if you have a piece that you can actually cook the fish right on top of a plancha, you can put the pans on top, the electric, it really drives your performance.
Okay, great. Thanks, man. I really appreciate you giving me that information. Okay, we don't have a lot of time, but because I messed this show up already, let's talk about your article that you got.
So the article I picked was I thought it was perfect to what I do every single day. And when I came across it, the article is called Next Generation Technologies, the Key to Driving Restaurant Efficiencies. And I read that and I said, that's what I do every day. That's the company I'm surrounded with. So on here, there's a point that according to the National Restaurant Association, restaurant sales in the U.S. are expected to increase by only 1.7% this year. And just in Charlotte alone, we opened 40 restaurants this summer. So if people are only dining 1.7% higher, how can you sustain that opening 40 restaurants? So looking at these
You kind of glad I
technology,
told you not to open that restaurant.
I'm so glad you told me not to open that restaurant. That was a great day. Really put things into perspective for me. Another piece in here is that people dine out for two reasons. One, for nourishment, or one, for an experience. And if they have technology either in the back of the house or the front of the house that's guaranteeing their performance, then they can provide a greater guest experience, which is incredible. Many restaurant operators grappling with rising overhead costs. We touched on that earlier.
Yeah.
Real estate prices, increased labor costs, the recent wage legislations, and really just technology is driving the kitchen and making sure every guest leaves satisfied from your restaurant, and this technology is going to help.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that.